Hi, my wonderful bumblebees. It's Ethony. Welcome back to my channel. And if you're brand new here, hello. And today I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm reviewing the game Banishers, Ghosts of New Eden, as a practicing witch, as a medium, and someone who has had spirit communication and many dealings with the world of spirit since I was a child, and what I liked and what I didn't like about it. And let's dive in. Banishers Ghosts of New Eden is a game that came out in February 2024. It was developed by a company called Don't Nod, and I got it on Valentine's Day and I just finished it. It's taken me a while to play and to finish the game. I found the game via social media. I mean, those ads worked. And it is based on, picture this, it's 1695 and you are a pair of banishers who have been called to a place called New Eden, which I feel is maybe it was called New Eden back then, I don't know. I'm not American, so I don't know. But it is very much the, New England sort of area, because there is a haunting case that your mentor has asked you to come and solve. You play two characters. One is Antea Duarte, and she is amazing. And then you also play her partner, Red Rorik McWraith. And as you can tell, he's very Scottish. So you play these two characters, and in this game, Antea is the master and Red is the apprentice. And very quickly, this is not a spoiler, it actually shows you in the trailer, something happens to Antea and she passes away. But what that means is you get to actually play her as a ghost, which is really cool, or as a spirit. And you have to solve haunting cases, which I really loved. You have to figure out how you're going to get rid of the nightmare, which is like the big bad. And you have to explore New Eden and all of the fun things that go along with it. It is an RPG, it's an action RPG, and it is open world. So you get to wander around and do lots of different things. And I really, really liked it. Short story, I loved it. I would play it again in a heartbeat. The choices that you make throughout the game will definitely impact your outcome, which I like games like that. Some of my favorite games ever are like the Mass Effect series, Baldur's Gate. I also really love Dragon Age, loved God of War. So anything that has a storyline. Now this is Puritan country. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about some of the things that I really, really loved as a medium and as someone who has worked with and communicated with spirits since they were very young. And then I'm going to get into what I liked as a gamer. So what I really liked as a medium is that whoever did the research on this game did a really, really great job. All the way through, you can find these documents that talk about the mythology of a banisher and the mythology of how they believe hauntings work, or how it works in this world. And I am not usually the type of person, depending if I'm really into the game, that'll sit there and like read screens worth of documents about the game, but I actually found myself reading them, and they were really, really well done. In this game, the hauntings are usually connected to a person. A person is haunted, and this can be through obviously something has happened. So for these spirits to be, two things can happen to these spirits once they are a ghost. They can be banished by the banishers, or they can be ascended by the banishers. One is the banishing is more forceful if they believe that the spirit is malevolent, or if the ghost is malevolent, and the ascent is a gentle ascent to the next realm. And in this game too, you could also blame the living person, because obviously, humans do horrible things to each other, so you can also blame the person who's being haunted. Houses have been, can be haunted, but when you what you figure out is the house haunting or the location haunting is always connected to a spirit and the relationship they have with someone who is alive. I love the echoes. You get to see like echoes, and like goodness, that completely like resonated with how I see spirit and how I have understood spirit, that you have like an echo. And sometimes I've explained it to be like, people are like, well, how does a haunting work? And it's like, okay, so it can be in these different ways. So if you have a space where something terrible has happened to someone, it can create a tear or an echo, as they call it in this game. And that will leave a imprint on the space of something that has happened. And in the game, you can actually like hearken for these echoes where you actually reveal them. And in the game, you either have to help the ghost with its unfinished business, whether it's being heard, like a truth has to be told, or whether they're trying to tell something to the person who is living, or they are seeking revenge or whatever it may be. There's a myriad of different reasons, but then the person is the one who's haunted. And what I found really interesting too, and what I liked about this as a medium, is that in the game, if the ghost stays too long, so say they have they are like their true love has passed on, and the ghost wants to stay because they want to look over the person and look out for them and be there because they don't want to move on. What ends up happening is the ghost starts to take the life force out of the person they're connected to, and it makes them sick. And that's another really interesting comparison to like the real world, where if there is unfinished business and sometimes it's not even on the spirit side where they're like taking energy from someone, although that can definitely happen if there's something a little bit nasty. But if you have unfinished business, then you might find that your energy is being drained. It could be your guilt or regret, whatever it may be, and then that can turn into or manifest as specific illnesses. I don't think that's the case all the time, but it can absolutely happen. And then also in the game, the ghost, if it sticks around too long, it actually loses its personality. Like it loses the thing that makes them them. Like the soul deteriorates, and then all that is left are specters. And specters are, you fight a lot of specters in this game, and they can like possess corpses and do all sorts of stuff. Not terribly scary corpses, but they can do that. They can actually go and take over these. You got to fight something, right? So I really, really loved the way they treated the role of the Banisher. The Banisher didn't have necessarily any specific religion that they came from. Antea, Charles, who is another one that you hear about quite a lot in the game, and then Red, all have different backgrounds. And that's great. There's runes, there's rituals, there's words of power they talk about, which is something that is also a real thing as well. And it's a really, really well thought out game from the perspective of mediumship. I mean, obviously there is going to be my experience and how I deal with spirit and how I've interacted with spirit is going to be different to every other medium. We all come through this experience with our own lenses, but I think they did a really, really good job, a really, really respectful job, and a really fun job. Like I loved dealing with the haunting cases. It was really fun. And they also did a really good job of not doing the whole stereotypical, these practices, occult practices or banishing practices or whatever, are all bad, and witches and burning and blah blah blah. Like it's not this church versus everybody else. I mean, sure, they're very Puritan, so there are people that you do come across, and there's a warning actually at the beginning of the game saying, look, this is based on some very prejudicial, wrong word probably, time. So you're going to come across some very narrow-minded people, but that was the way it was. It wasn't meant like it's a historical fiction piece, right? So they're going to, some people are going to have very pious views and no, you know anything to do with spirit is bad and you're all evil and blah blah blah. But they didn't do the very easy trope of witchcraft bad, church good, and I really appreciated that because there are witches in the game. And I am a very out of the broom closet practicing modern witch, and they did a really good job of incorporating this in a practice that has got nothing to do with the church, right? It's so great because it's just like, guys, are we not over this whole, like, it's so tired and worn out, and they could have easily had done that, but the developers decided not to do it, and I super appreciate that. So I really liked all of that as a medium. I think it was a really great way actually to explain, I guess, some of the ways in which a medium can work and some of the ways in which a haunting can take place, or a spirit connection that is not necessarily great. You know, sometimes these spirits just need to be heard, and that is a big part of it. There's so much to love about this game as a medium. What I really loved as a gamer and someone who has been playing video games since the Atari and the Commodore 64, yes, I am that old, was that it has a lot of the markings of a Witcher or a God of War, where you get to do a bunch of different things. There's things you can unlock. There's like different chests. There's different puzzles. You have to find certain things. You can explore caves, all that kind of stuff. So I really liked the gameplay. It was very atmospheric. The music was really good. And it was easy enough gameplay for someone who may not be like a hardcore gamer, especially if you just want to do the storyline. The storyline is great. So it's something that you will get a lot of interest out of if you have any sort of interest in the spookiness. And the characters were wonderful. The characters were really, really wonderful. I found myself getting choked up at the end for sure. And you can choose 3 endings, and I'm not going to ruin it for anyone, but you can pick 3 endings, and I chose one, and I was like, I couldn't, every time, like anytime I've tried to be, like in Mass Effect, it's the renegade, I just can't do it. I'm like, I try really hard, and then I'm like, no, I don't like being mean. So I chose a specific outcome, and you know, that kind of made it the way it was, and it was pretty sad, but I really liked most of the game. It does lead you a bit like that, which is great too for someone who is not specifically a hardcore gamer, but I think there was a lot to like as the actual player. It kept me engaged. I played all the way through the end. I really enjoyed it, so I would definitely, as a gamer, I really, really liked it. What I would have loved to have seen as a gamer was more. more. Like, I would love to see another one where Red maybe goes to Boston, because they talk about Boston a lot, and there's a road to Boston, but you don't ever get to go there. I would have loved to have done more in the town of New Eden itself. Maybe I rushed that a little bit. I don't know. But if I played again, I would definitely look around a little bit more, because I didn't really do that. I was following the story at the beginning anyway, and so I wish I had done that at the beginning. Like, there was no warning, like at a specific point where things change and your access to certain stuff is cut off, that if you do this thing, you're not going to be able to come back to this space. And it's like, that would have been really, really nice. And it happens really early on in the game. But I don't think there was really much. There could have been a different level of combat too, because at the end of the day, you kind of got used to, okay, well, these harvesters, they do this, and so I'm going to have to like dodge, load the gun and shoot, you know what I mean? So it just became kind of a little bit of a rinse and repeat. But you know, because you're fighting like 3 different types of specters almost all the time, or a few anyway. So it could have been good to have, no, there was more than that. There was quite a few more than that, but it would have been cool to have different things. But I guess this is like a brand new franchise, and I don't know if they're ever going to make another one. But a little bit more exploring and side quests that didn't feel like you were just a courier, you know, like everyone knows that one where it's just like, can you get this for me and come and bring it back there? I was like, oh, you know, at that point you're just like, well, this is boring. Maybe some more puzzles, more like Tomb Raider or something like that. But I really enjoyed most of it. I loved the characters. I really, really enjoyed the mythology and the care and research that went into this game as a medium and someone who is dealt with and worked with the spirit realm for a very long time, ever since I was a child. I really, really enjoyed that aspect. Loved the gameplay. I thought it was really, really well done. It had a lot of heart. So Banishers, Ghosts of New Eden. This medium says thumbs up. I'd love to hear if you've played the game, if you've heard of the game. It's available on PlayStation, Xbox, and Steam, but only from Microsoft. So I'll put where you can find the specific game in the description box. And I hope you have fun. If you are into games like this, then I think you'll have a really, really good time. And I will see you all next time.